Coming up this week on Sporting Journal Radio.
She spent like the first 3 Christmases of her life in a cone. We've got lots of pictures of her in a cone.
Dropping the state walleye limit from 6 to 4. She's not happy about the cone, and I'm not happy about the vet bill.
Looking at a year-long bass season in Minnesota.
The whole purpose of this in our group is to raise money to do youth-based conservation projects.
Broadcasting on the Sporting Journal Radio Network, wherever you get your podcasts or watch on YouTube.
Fish on right now.
Well, we're here at the 2024 Pheasant Fest and Quail Classic, presented by OnX. Know where you stand with OnX. And our guest now is Jeremy Smith. I fish, I hunt, and always will.
It's just to look out for your everyday hunter, angler, and trapper that's out there.
A Fish Hunt Forever production. This is Sporting Journal Radio.
So you know how we're always looking for a cause to get behind? You know?
No, David.
Yeah, David.
Yeah.
No.
I couldn't find the other no.
Doesn't make any sense. It's all right. I'm Bret, by the way, Dan. Nice to meet you.
I couldn't find... Here it is.
Nice to meet you. Known you for a while.
No.
Oh, we're also watching the SJR 500 song.
Yeah, I thought, normally instead of... We'll do like the 3 side by side by side, and I don't think that looks very good.
This looks way better.
So I thought, we put on... When we were in Kentucky in the Kentucky Lake Tourism Conference Center, we put a show on in the background. So I thought, heck, let's have this nice view and we can watch something.
All right. I like it.
And you don't go on TikTok. David, you don't go on TikTok either, but TikTokers will know what I'm talking about. There'll be people that'll pirate TV shows and then put the clips on TikTok. And then like on the bottom it'll be split screen and it'll like have a guy playing Subway Surfer or something dumb. You guys don't even know what that game is, do you?
Nope.
Wow, you guys are old.
Cool story, bro.
But anyway, so it's kind of like that. There have been college professors I've seen who, during their lectures and notes, will have half notes and then half of the game or something. So I don't know if it helps people focus. Maybe they're distracted watching me hold a big walleye right there. I don't know. I've just wasted about a minute of this show talking about this story. My name's Dan. That's David. That's Bret. Let's start the show over.
All right. Tell me about the sponsors.
Oh, gosh. Hang on.
It really put you on the spot there.
Lake of the Woods Tourism. Lake of the Woods is the walleye capital. Plan a trip for Lake of the Woods or the Rainy River at lakeofthewoodsmn.com. OnX Hunt. See private land boundaries, offline maps, and more. Take 20% off a new membership with the code SJR20. Haybill Heights Campground and Resort. Fish Devil's Lake this summer. Learn more at haybillheights.com. Tasman Lake Lodge. Catch world record lake trout and giant pike in Saskatchewan with Tasman Lake. Learn more at tasmanlake.com. Prairie Sportsman. New season is here. Watch a new episode on Sunday or anytime at the Prairie Sportsman YouTube channel. And Guardian Eagle Resort. Plan a trip for next summer to the Ontario waters of Guardian Eagle Resort. Fly directly from the Twin Cities. Learn more at guardianeagle.com. Do you guys want to hear more about Subway Surfer or talk about the outdoors?
We got a trip to Guardian Eagle we're going to give away, by the way. Find details at sportingjournalradio.com and get yourself signed up. I don't want to hear any more about any of that, but that's...
Not even our sponsors?
Well, the sponsors, yeah.
Oh,
we heard about them already.
Well, all right. Sounds good. Well, then
just
talk about something
Subway
else.
like a guy with like the finger surfboard, like going down the Subway lineup of all the vegetables and meats.
What?
Yeah, what
The
is
little
going
finger
on right now?
Subway surfer,
This show
is that what you
sucks.
called it?
My gosh.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
We should start the show over, really. This is terrible. Oh, my gosh. So I just want to back up for a minute because something big happened, by the way, for public land hunters that hunt, particularly the guys that hunt out west, big game stuff. But corner crossing became legal in 6 states now. And this has been something that's always boggled my mind, that you can have a corner of public land and then another corner of public land, and you can't cross from one corner into the other. Like somehow the private land owners own the airspace and can't step across.
That's the weirdest part because you can't own the air.
Doesn't make any sense.
Well,
So-
you kind of can, I guess. There's a thing called bullet trespass in Minnesota, but
Correct.
anyways.
Colorado, Kansas, New Mexico, Oklahoma, Utah, and Wyoming have all now, I think, legalized it without going into details about it because I don't really hunt in those states too much. But if you do, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. But this precedent could make corner crossing legal in other states too. So if you hunt Montana or some of these other big game western states where there's lots of corners that you can't cross, that may change in the future, which is a big step in the right direction for public land hunters. So
is that legal in Minnesota? Do we know?
I've never heard of it in Minnesota. I've never heard of a corner.
Being an issue.
No.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if we're going to have legalized sports betting or corner crossing legal in Minnesota first, because I have no idea.
Well, one thing I do know about in public lands for Minnesota, and this is I think Meat Eater put some money towards trying to get corner crossings legalized, which I think was pretty cool of them. They put up some money to try to fight that. And so
got enough of it.
We've always tried to find a cause to get behind where we could try to raise money for something. And this is an idea I've had in the back of my mind for a while. And if you think this is a good idea, let us know. Comment below or send us messages or give us money for it or whatever. But it boggles my mind that we have state lands out there, WMAs here in Minnesota, that we encourage people to hunt on with their dogs for pheasants and whatever. Yet there's still remnants of barbed wire. And I understand it's hard and it's time consuming. It's not easy work. It costs money. You need to a lot of times bring some heavy equipment out there to try to remove some of that stuff. But it's a serious safety hazard. I can't believe there hasn't been some sort of lawsuit. And I had my dog out on private land, which butts up next to some public, and I knew the barbed wire fence was there. And I tried to keep my dog out of it, but I was out shed hunting, found a couple of pheasants, got up right next to this barbed wire, and Tiny jumped in and ripped herself open. So now I'm $500 to $600, whatever it cost, in vet bills to get that stitched up and get the anesthesia and all that stuff. And it's my fault because I knew the fence was there. But it's been there for 50 years.
Or more.
And then I went shed hunting on another piece of property by myself because for 10 days I have to watch these stitches on my dog.
Where is she, by the way?
It's
laying in the kitchen.
Great.
Conehead. Tiny.
Great question.
She's sleeping.
And I found, and I'd walked this public property numerous times in the past.
It just barged right in.
Yeah. She's coming right up.
It's like we had this on cue. Hi, Tiny.
There she is. Conehead and all. If you look right here, you can see where she got stitched up. So, yeah. She's not happy about the cone, and I'm not happy about the vet bill. Although Rachel and her staff did a great job. Okay, all right. I got to put her back down. But I went shed hunting on this other piece of property that I've hunted many, many times, and I knew there was some barbed wire on it. In fact, that piece...
You can just hear the code hitting everything in the room right now. It's going to knock down all the cameras. I heard there was a new addition to that, and it was separated by actually fairly new barbed wire. It's in pretty good shape, and it's in real tall grass and cattails. So if you're new to that public piece and have never hunted it before, and you go plowing through that stuff with your dogs, you have no idea that fence is there, and you can do a lot of damage. Like Mika, on that same fence, my older dog, Mika, got hit by a barbed wire directly between her eyeballs. She's got a scar there from it. And if that had taken out one of her eyeballs, I would have raised hell with the DNR about that barbed wire fence. So I don't know. I'm thinking about trying to start up a fund, a barbed wire removal from state lands fund somehow. And if you guys think that would be a good idea, let us know. It's kind of tradition for bird dogs to have some form of barbed wire story, I know. And it'd be nice not to. I mean, heck, you remember my family's first dog, Casey? I think she spent like the first 3 Christmases of her life in a cone. We've got lots of pictures of her in a cone. My dad will know. He'll correct me here if I'm wrong. But it was just she had a shoulder problem, but between North Dakota, Wisconsin, and Minnesota, she just kept finding barbed wire fences to the point where my dad would just bring super glue and, oh, you got cut again? Yeah, well, they're just going to glue you up anyways. I'll just do it myself.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And I should have a super glue or a staple gun and a dog first aid kit. Every bird dog owner should have one of those and be prepared to do some of this. Because thankfully her cut wasn't too big. And I probably, if I'd had the right gear, I probably could have taken care of it myself. But I like this vet, and
she's stuck. She's fine now. She got stuck in a tripod, it looked like, for a little bit there.
I trust this vet and wanted to give them some business anyway. So.
Just think, you know what? You're going to run small town vets out of business with this remove barbed wire fund. Dang it.
Small
way
town
to support
vets.
the local economy.
That's where it's at, by the way, for sure.
Skip the city.
That's right.
Like if you can find a cow vet, remember when we were in North Dakota that one time, and it was Mika's sister, Echo, my other family dog of ours, and then our cousin Craig's dog, both something happened. Like Echo was a puppy. Echo and Mika were puppies, and she must have probably found a barbed wire fence. And so they took her in, or they took their 2 dogs in, and I think the combined bill for both of them was $35.
Yeah.
Charged them like $15 for 2 staples on a Saturday. And I don't know what the other one, 20, I guess do the math, 15 minus or 35 minus. So
I was told there'd be no math.
Yeah.
That's a lot of numbers.
Subway Surfer.
Yeah. Hey, this segment is brought to you by Guardian Eagle Resort. Come fish the Ontario waters of Guardian Eagle Resort. Bring the family and fish for walleyes and pike on 75,000 acres of private water. Fly direct from Minneapolis and be at the concrete runway at the lodge in just 2 hours. Learn more at guardianeagle.com. I missed those guys this past weekend. They were in town, but we were over at the Deer Classic.
We were at the Cooler Show.
They were at the Northwest Sports Show, and we were at the Deer Classic, and we got to do an appearance there. Saw a bunch of friends that came out. We gave away a bunch of free hats, and our friend Tony Crotty and Mid-Migration Outfitters had a booth there for the first time. He's firing the guide, but he took a couple of days. He had a couple kids, took some time off from full-time guiding, and he's about to ramp business back up. So if you want to go on some guided duck and goose or even snow goose hunts, get a hold of our buddy Tony, Mid-Migration Outfitters. That was a good time at the Deer Classic this year, Dan.
I was actually very impressed. I for all these years, I'd never been able to make it over there because either be hanging out at the Northwest Sports Show, or usually I end up fishing that weekend, and weather was terrible to go fishing. So I'm like, oh, whatever, come out. We were going to go home after a couple hours, and between a combination of the weather and I think seeing how well the show is going, I think we both kind of had in our heads, it's like, well, heck, let's just hang out. So walked around, saw a bunch of people, saw some old friends I hadn't seen in a while, had some buddies just randomly show up that got to hang out with them at the end of the night. A lot of people I didn't know were going to be there that were just at the show, just walking around, not necessarily even vendors. So it was a lot of fun. Great to see all of you. If you're not listening to this podcast, and I guess we're not really friends, so good to see you all.
Yeah. All right, we're going to talk more about, also there's a show in Sioux Falls, a Sioux Empire show with Seneco Productions. We'll find out how that one went with Joe Henry coming up later in the show. And then at the Deer Classic, we bumped into Lee Ledford, who we've known for a number of years. They're starting up a new organization, Alliance for Wildlife Conservation. Lee and Nick Negrini, who's also part of that organization, going to tell us how you can be a part to help them introduce more kids to the outdoors. It's all on the way on Sporting Journal Radio.
Now is the time to start thinking about chasing big walleyes on Devil's Lake. Get on the fish at Haybale Heights Campground and Resort. Haybale Heights makes it easy for you to make memories on legendary Devil's Lake with guided fishing and lodging packages. Or bring your own boat and rent one of their cabins on East Bay. Haybale Heights offers a private marina, fish cleaning station, and the opportunity to relax and enjoy your bucket list trip to Devil's Lake, North Dakota. To book your trip, visit haybaleheights.com. That's haybaleheights.com.
All right, if you want to catch a personal best lake trout or northern pike, your chances go up greatly when you visit Tasman Lake Lodge in northwest Saskatchewan. Big fish there. Dan and I both caught our personal bests in both categories up there. You can find out more at TasmanLake.com. And there's a brand new Tasman TV episode on the Tasman Lake Lodge YouTube channel. Go there now and check it out. Make sure you subscribe. All right, we should mention there's a new Prairie Sportsman episode coming out too, Dan. Coming up on the next Prairie Sportsman.
You guys are the cream of the crop.
We check out the Student Angler Tournament of Champions on Big Stone Lake.
It's cool to know that we're building a program here.
There's nothing to be nervous about. You can whoop these boys' butt.
We learn the master plan for the Lac-Parle WMA.
Prairie is one of the most threatened ecosystems in North America.
And Nicole Zempel introduces us to the benefits of burdock.
There is so much more to this amazing plant.
That's a good show, and I'm going to start with the last thing finally, the burdock plant. I didn't really know what that was, but it's the one you get burrs from.
Mm-hmm. That stick to everything.
Yeah, and I think it's
the Tiny just wreck everything with her comb.
She might have.
I think we're in good shape, actually. David's left the chat, but that's fine.
The root, I believe, is where there's a ton of nutrients. And anyway, watch the episode Sunday night, 7:30 p.m. on Pioneer PBS in Granite Falls. Otherwise, check for a PBS station near you or check it out on the Prairie Sportsman YouTube channel. Usually it's available there around noon on Sundays. Oh, I made it.
You're cooking like a donkey.
Survived it. The SATT, though, that was a pretty fun tournament to be at, Dan.
Yeah, it's cool. Tiny's just barging her way around right now.
She's snagged on a charging cord.
Yeah, well, we need Tiny Cam. Okay. SATT, it is pretty cool.
Thank you.
I've talked to a bunch of people that have fished it in the past. There were 90 boats there, so 180 kids, I think, fishing the Tournament of Champions, fishing for a chance to win some scholarship money.
Yeah.
I kind of wish I'd have known about that. I had a better chance of getting a fishing scholarship than a baseball scholarship or football scholarship. Right here in the backyard at Big Stone Lake. Cool to see how many kids have really gotten into fishing and want to continue a career into fishing. You know, the one kid from Two Rivers High School that is in somewhere in the cities, I believe, basically said because of the tournament and the league, he's fallen in love with fishing and wants to go work for the DNR. Changed, kind of his dream job. So it's getting people involved in the outdoors and setting them up for a future, even if it's just trying to go college fish. It's putting people outside and putting that in the front of their heads to be part of the rest of their lives. Pretty darn cool.
Absolutely. And just, I mean, how neat would it be to be in a takeoff like that, to be in high school and be in a takeoff with 90 boats like that?
Oh yeah, in high school. I mean, I'm 25 and I was in the, riding, not driving, which I guess they're all riding too, but at the Bassmaster Open with 230 boats, and it's a ton of fun. I made a Facebook post about that the other day. That's one of my favorite parts of tournaments. So I've only fished in a couple local tournaments and then sitting in the boat for that one. But we've filmed a lot of tournaments, it feels like, the last few years. And that's always my favorite part. Like the few minutes before, kind of the calm before the storm, everyone's excited, boats are going in the water, and everyone's actually pretty efficient at putting their boat in the water. And it's just it's a fun moment. You feel the anticipation, and then
it makes you want to get a bigger boat.
Well, absolutely. remember when we were doing the local one? It was only like 70 boats with your 16-footer, and we were boat 2. Like we are gonna pass away.
Yeah, I literally took. Everyone was going right. I took a hard left.
Yeah, we just got out of the way. Might as well have traded boat numbers. Yeah. It didn't matter. We didn't catch a fish, but
yeah, that one, the Warrior one up at Lake of the Woods is pretty cool because that was 150 boats. And they all lined up on the Rainy River and then took off out to the gap. It was
I've never seen one like that before. Usually you're just in a harbor and you kind of file out and all blast off from there. But to see everyone in a line like that's pretty neat.
Also, Lac Parle Wildlife Management Area has a new management plan, and we talk about that as well. I love it! In the new Prairie Sportsman episode coming out this Sunday. We're almost halfway through the season now, it seems like.
Yeah, we got a lot to film and edit yet. So.
We're not done filming and editing yet.
But we're bringing you fresh content. That's what we're doing.
That's right. Hey, we should mention we were going to go to Lake Winnipeg next week, but we're not any longer. So we're going to try to make it up to the Minfish Summit, which has got some pretty important topics this year.
Yeah.
Brad Parsons will be there, head of DNR Fisheries. He's going to talk about dropping the state walleye limit from 6 to 4. We don't have a lot of time to talk about each of these things, but we should just touch on them real quick. 6 to 4, are you in favor, David?
It doesn't bother me.
Dan?
I'm in favor of all of the major lakes that surround most of the major lakes in Minnesota or rivers that attract a lot of walleye anglers already for tourism and whatnot are already a 4-fish limit. It's not going to hurt anything, I feel like, to go to 4.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to lowering limits.
I'd like to see the possession limit increase, though. I'll say that.
Okay, that's one thing. I know it could hurt tourism, which could hurt small towns economically. I think giving the DNR, if they have the resources to manage lakes individually, I would prefer to see that. And if some lakes can support 6 walleyes seems like so many. But if a lake, maybe it's stocked well, and there's a ton of, like, I remember when Red Lake, 2 years ago, they upped the limit to 5 walleyes or whatever it was because they had so many, whatever, 15 to 16 inch fish or whatever it was, that it was hurting the lake to have them. So if the DNR can continue to fluctuate with some management and it makes sense, then I would like to see that continue. Forward-facing sonar will be another topic. I think all of us are in agreement. We don't see an issue with it.
We're watching the lower right-hand corner, how much fun we're having with livescope here in this video on Lake of the Woods. So, yeah, we all know that it's not the technology that kills the fish. It's the angler that makes the decision to kill a fish. So it's like trying to blame guns for
Yeah.
Mass shootings.
So, and somebody was trying to argue with me on Facebook that a bunch of states have banned it. They have not.
True.
They have not. One single state has banned forward-facing sonar. Some lakes in Mississippi, they lowered the limits and blamed livescope. But if you looked at the limits, it was like a 25 per person crappie limit on that lake. And they were keeping like 12 to 13 inch crappies every day. And there was guides going out there with 2 groups a day. So, of course, it's the livescope's fault.
Right.
Hey, I doubt it.
Yeah, that's a new one. I haven't heard that one yet. So there'll be a lot of discussion about that. The one situation where I think a lot of people agree that forward-facing sonar has been an issue has been with muskie fishing and being able to find muskies deep and beating them up. And muskies aren't as prevalent as crappies or bluegills or even walleyes for that matter. So if I were to make one concession on some sort of live scope restriction or fishing restriction, it'd be regarding muskies. And I don't know how you enforce it. I don't know how you do it.
And we don't have time to get into it this week, but the stuff proposed for Leech Lake is the most absurd fishing regulation proposal I've ever heard in my life. So that we can't be doing that. We can't be putting limits on the depth that you're fishing.
Yeah, it's tough.
We talked about that with barotrauma stuff back in the day. Not back in the day, last year or whatever. But that can't happen.
Yeah. I don't know how you enforce it. I don't know how you manage it. And then one guy responded to my comment like, what, do you have a forward-facing sonar buyback program? Like, that ain't going to happen.
No. Well, that works in Chicago and New York all the time.
Yeah, right. Oh, man. So they'll also talk about northern pike management, stocking in Minnesota and its future. It's March 27th. Gosh, where's it at again?
Grand Rapids.
Yeah. So
David, you want to go?
We should go up there. We should.
There's beer in Grand Rapids, David.
So March 27th, mn-fish.com is the website to find out more and to register for the event on March 27th. So get behind and support and protect our fisheries. Support an organization like MnFish, become a member. I'm a fan because they are out there and they have a lobbyist. So if you don't want legislators to just change laws like they did with crossbows, without the DNR or hunters to be involved with it, you have to have a lobbyist these days. I almost threw up while I said that just because I hate politics. But
Minnesota politics are in great shape right now.
You have to do it.
Follow the science.
And MnFish has it, and those lobbyists aren't cheap, so you have to pay for it. And if you want to get things done, you have to work at the Capitol and you have to play the game. And having somebody that knows how the Capitol, like even Mark Holston being a former a politician, representative in Minnesota, legislator. He's great as the executive director, and then having a lobbyist is...
we should have a show lobbyist.
All right.
There's one person I propose to do it.
Who's that?
David Eckhart. Oh. Get up to the Capitol.
I'm on it.
You got nothing going on in the summer once crops are in the ground.
Right.
Get up there. Well, sorry. Oh, you're going to interfere with your Africa trip.
I got food plots to plan.
Oh, my gosh.
Cameras to check.
Africa. Probably some trip to wherever instead
South
of SJR.
Dakota.
You're already skipping out a day on the SJR 500, you loser.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, it's not coming up till Monday.
Yeah.
Come on.
All right.
I'm easily convinced.
Well, let's go.
We'll talk about that SJR 500 more in just a second with Joe Henry as well, too. Get see if any of the accesses are open yet.
You're eating a sucker right now.
That's so awesome.
The face of a sucker.
Real quick, we got 30 seconds left here. David, if someone's going to go snow goose hunting right now, how muddy are the fields out there?
After this last storm, probably worse. It was before that they were dry, so I heard up to an inch before that snow came, and up to an inch of rain. So it'll be a while before it dries out again.
But that's kind of what snow goose hunting's all about, getting muddy.
Yeah, that's the whole game.
Part of the deal. All right. Lee, Ledford, Nick Negrini going to talk about the Alliance for Wildlife Conservation. It's a new organization in the Twin Cities. We'll tell you more about them coming up later in the show. Joe Henry's got a Rainy River update and a fishing report from Lake of the Woods when we come back on Sporting Journal Radio.
Sick of eating tag soup? It's time to own your odds this fall with OnX Hunt, the GPS hunting app trusted by millions of hunters. Now you'll have access to nationwide public and private land ownership information, waypoints, optimal wind for each stand, tracks, and much more. All at your fingertips. Go to onxmaps.com/hunt and use code SJR20 at checkout to receive 20% off your membership. That's code SJR20.
All right, Joe Henry joins us from Lake of the Woods Tourism right now. Joe, we want to know how many accesses are open on the Rainy River. Everybody's
well, you know what? On Lake of the Woods, a lot of the public accesses aren't really where you'd access the ice anyway. It's more of the private accesses where, people follow roads, they watch the roads, they keep an eye on the roads, ice roads, I'm meaning. But there's plenty of ice fishing happening on Lake of the Woods still. There are a lot of resorts that pull the plug for the year, and part of that is, they just wanted to be done. They didn't want to have to worry about, and traditionally around mid-March, in the last couple of years, some of the ice fishing is kind of finished up. But, this year on Lake of the Woods, it's more of that traditional winter where, we are ice fishing, and many resorts are going to be ice fishing all the way through the 31st of March, which is the day that, overnight fish houses have to be off the ice if they're unattended. Now, I'll tell you this, I got a feeling there'll be some resorts this year that cater to some pike anglers that'll actually fish into April. And what they do is they'll actually, either people will fish in collapsible fish houses and such on their own, but they provide the lodging and the access, or some of the resorts will even pull out day houses. They'll pull them out each day and pull them back in if they have the capabilities to do so. So fishing's in full swing. In fact, I just talked to one group that had a 100 fish day, walleyes. 2 people had a 100 fish day. I talked to another group that they're fishing along Pine Island, doing kind of that morning evening bite, and they got some really nice walleyes at the end of the day, bigger ones. I talked to a resort owner who was out with some kids, and they got 3 pike in one day over 40 inches. That was pretty cool while they had Bugs Bunny on the TV inside the fish house. So
is
it was
that
just
a requirement?
A lot of fun.
Tip of the
What's
day.
that?
I think that's the whole reason why. That's tip of the day. You want to catch big fish?
That's probably why when you go ice fishing, you catch so many fishes because you're always watching Bugs Bunny.
Well, yeah. Who's not? You're doing it wrong.
But I mean, so some really good fishing reports coming in. This is the time of year those pike are staging for the spawn. In fact, I talked to one guy recently who said I think those pike are actually moving a little bit shallower right now. It's interesting. One report for pike was hang your dead bait on a quick strike rig, either like 12 to 18 inches below the ice or a foot off the bottom. Of course, the reason you hang it right below the ice is, a lot of those big pike, those real big pike, are scavengers if they can be. If you don't have to chase your food, why? And they'll cruise underneath the ice looking for, dead fish that maybe ice anglers caught, and they're up against the bottom of the ice and such. So it's just kind of interesting how that all works.
Yeah, and of course I'm joking about the Rainy River accesses being open already, but we are, anxiously awaiting the SJR 500 tournament up on the Rainy, so the access watch is going to start here pretty soon. But obviously,
we're talking about open water accesses.
Oh, of course, yeah.
I thought you were talking about ice fishing accesses, and that's why I said that. Normally they're private. Oh, I see. You're already looking at SJR 500.
Oh yeah, but there's the music. Here we go. It's a sing along. The, obviously ice fishing is still going strong in areas, but, we got to let the music play.
Big fish, you have to go where the big fish are. Come join us at the wall.
It's just awkward because I didn't put the video on.
Yeah,
so now we're just
the music.
staring here. Because I thought we'd continue to have a conversation.
We certainly can.
It's funny when you play that music and it just shows our faces. Some of us are bouncing a little bit. We all got grins on our face, and by now we kind of know the first couple lines of that song, if at least
Sing it. Here it comes. Yeah.
Presented by Wade Pro.
Solo, Joe Henry.
The SJR 500. It's awesome. We've got some cash.
Oh man, I cannot wait. Fun. It is hands down one of our favorite things to do each year, and it's obviously the fishing is really good, which is at the heart of everything, but it's just become such a great gathering of friends and new and old, and we've got some new sponsors this year from Wave Pro and Relevant and Heavy Hauler that are going to be up there, and potentially some other ones coming on board, but it's just become such a great honestly, it's the 4th annual, but it's becoming a tradition for us already, and it's just such a good time, and it's a cheap tournament to get in. You don't have to come and be at any of the meetings, but it's more fun if you do. But if you're going to be up there fishing anyway, you can join and be a part of it through the Fish Donkey app. So it's just a really good time.
It's also fun, Brett, just hanging out. A lot of people come, maybe it's the first time, and they come into the Riverbend resort bar, and they're kind of coming in, and everybody kind of meets everybody, and you're just hanging out, having fun, and then the other part I think is fun is not just casual. It's everybody's really friendly. I think the other part that's really cool is you know, when you guys do that, the broadcast, and you got a room with a whole bunch of people around, and you have different people that you're interviewing, and you interview the winners and how they caught their fish and what they noticed on the Rainy River and where they're from, and if they come to the, the whole scenario is just really kind of fun. And of course, we all got beers on our hands, you know.
Well, that helps. I love doing live stuff like that. I love having an audience in front of us, you know. And I did live radio for a long time, and now, you know, we pre-tape a lot of stuff, and so I miss having that kind of that live aspect to it, and then just having a live audience, because, you know, when it's just three of us in here, I mean, we can laugh at our jokes, but we think we're hilarious.
That's right.
So it's nice. It's nice when it's a packed room full of people, and it helps that they're all drinking.
It sucks when it's just silent, though. When you tell a joke and it's just crickets.
Nobody reacts.
It is so much fun, and we've got a couple of videos that you can watch from the past events on the Fish Hunt Forever YouTube channel if you want to see what it's all about. And we have a discount code too for people that want to get lodging at Riverbend. Call them up or book online at riverbendresort.com, and you can use the code SJR500 and you will save on lodging at Riverbend Resort. So it doesn't hurt, Joe, that you could catch a personal best walleye or a personal best sturgeon while you're up there too.
Well, that's one of the reasons people do it. I mean, what's the big deal about fishing on the Rainy River? Well, number one, it's one of the only places that you can fish for walleyes in April. You know, our season goes through April 14th. It's catch and release only. So, you know, you take a nice picture of a fish, you let it go in that ice cold water. It's normally not real deep water, and it's usually a jig bite or maybe pulling cranks. But so it's you know, you feel good about letting the fish go and catch them in that ice cold water. It's first time people are splashing their boat for the year. And then you got the bonus sturgeon. I mean, some people don't even fish walleyes. They just fish sturgeon. And I mean, everybody talks about, my goodness, we caught X number of sturgeon, and we caught a 56 pounder. And I mean, my arms are hurting. It was so much fun. And we saw other boats catch them. And I mean, just the whole scenario is really kind of neat. You never know, Brett. Remember that year we went out and it was snowing really hard? Oh, yeah. I mean, when we were first going out, I'm like, oh man, this is my first choice to go fishing. But once we got out there with our ice fishing gear on, man, was that fun. It was snowing out, and it made for great photography. And remember we figured them out. We were jigging. We weren't catching much. We started pulling cranks on three-ways. I shouldn't say it because people might mimic us now.
Yeah, this is illegal. We just got DQ'd from the tournament, I think.
Well, it's public info now.
Oh, yeah, so okay. So
yeah.
All right.
But we started finding fish then, didn't we? And we started catching nice fish, and all of a sudden it was like a whole different fishery when we started doing that. And
we need Corey to come up. Yeah, we need Corey to come up and be our chef. First thing he cooked up mallard breasts and mayo.
Yep.
And then he baked a sucker because that was the only fish he could keep. So
well, I'll tell you what, you know, after 122 bush lights, it all tasted pretty good.
It's so much fun, and you know, that Rainy River springtime, and you mentioned earlier, Joe, how some resorts just pull their houses now and take a break because there's only 2 times out of the year that those guys get a break. You know, there's 2 transitions in the spring and in the fall in between their busy seasons where they get to, you know, have some family time, take a vacation, fix things, you know, or remodel or do that. This is one of those times. So it's almost like you have to let these guys have a little bit of time off.
Yeah, you know, some resorts are recharging their batteries and they have their equipment off, and you know they've been doing this since about the 10th of December is when we got day houses out this year. So it's been a long season, and it's every day, and it's early and it's late, and it's, you know, always overcoming challenges. We all say owning a resort is almost like a dairy farm. You're always on, and these resorts do it well. I tell you what, I give them so much credit. These are hard-working American entrepreneurs, absolutely giving it, and it's pretty neat. I have all the respect in the world for these resort owners. There's some resort owners that said, "Hey, if we can stay open a little bit later and keep things rolling for 2 more weeks, we're gonna see her out to the end." And hey, to each their own, right? But the bottom line is, if a person wants to get that last ice fishing trip in, there's still some good ice fishing up in Lake of the Woods. And you know what? Obviously, the resorts that are open are watching ice conditions for you. So as long as you stay in their trail and don't go, don't be a cowboy, a cowgirl, and go off on your own. Yeah. Just stay in the trails, the marked trails. Then you're in good shape.
Well, we just have about a minute or so left here, Joe, but, maybe people could rip up to that Minfish Summit and talk to Minfish and the Minnesota DNR about some fishing regulations, and then go up to Lake of the Woods for one last
Well, I'll tell you what, that Minfish Summit, so for listeners, that's going to be March 27th, 9 to 5 p.m., and it's at up in Itasca County at Timberlake Lodge. Register for that on the MinFish website or look at the MinFish Facebook page. But it's a great opportunity to meet other anglers. You're going to have the who's who in the fishing industry there, many of them anyway. And then, of course, you're going to have the Minnesota DNR talking about some potential changes that they're looking at, going from a 6-fish walleye limit statewide to a 4-fish limit, looking at a year-long bass season in Minnesota. They're going to be talking about forward-facing sonar, talking about how that affects muskies and pike and a lot more. But it's your opportunity to be right there for the conversation. You can ask questions, you can make comments, and you can also meet some people in the fishing industry in Minnesota. Just a one-day event, but I mean, the fact that it's open to the public, boy, if you have an interest in fishing in Minnesota, I would encourage you to mark March 27th down on your calendar and to register for that summit. It's going to be cool. In fact, I'll tell you this much. There's going to be some, myself and some others are going to be coming in the night before and staying overnight. And, we'll be down just kind of having a little mini meeting at the bar for anglers that want to come and just, have a chance to kind of rub elbows with some really good folks.
No, and when people say, well, what can I do? The DNR just does whatever they want anyway. Like this is what you can do. This is a chance to actually have the people that make the decisions have their ears to listen to you. This is where you can plead your case and learn more about management and try to say what you can to help shape its direction. So I think MinFish is great. I think the summit is a great idea. That's going to be March 27th. Go check it out. min-fish.com is the website to find out more about that organization and the upcoming summit. All right, Joan, if people want to plan a trip to Lake of the Woods, where should they go?
Check out our website, and that is lakeofthewoodsmn.com.
Lake of the Woods, the walleye capital of the world, is calling out to you. From the Northwest Angle to the South Shore and Rainy River, this is the Midwest's #1 ice fishing destination. Walleye, sauger, perch, northern pike, and eelpout. The fishing on Lake of the Woods is like a world of its own. Experience the most amazing fishing through one of the many full-service resorts featuring heated fish houses, ice transportation, meal plans, and sleeper fish house options. For more information, go to lakeofthewoodsmn.com.
All right, we're back on Sporting Journal Radio. Our guests now, Lee Ledford and Nick Negrini, joining us to talk about the Alliance for Wildlife Conservation. Guys, how's it going?
Good. Doing well. How are you?
Good. Welcome to the show. Lee, I saw you at the Minnesota Deer Classic last weekend. We talked for a minute, and he said, hey, we got this new thing going. And I said, you know what? Why don't you come on the show to talk about it this week? Because I want to talk about what it is that you guys are doing, what the purpose of it is, and then you have an event coming up in April as well, right? Why don't you just start with that? What's happening in April?
So that'll be our first banquet. It'll be a yearly thing. It's similar to like what, if you've been to SDI or a Wild Sheep Banquet, I don't know, Pheasants Forever, something like that. It's an auction. We'll have a live auction, dinner, raffles, silent auction. And the whole purpose of this in our group is to raise money to do youth-based conservation projects.
All right, and that's at the Horse and Hunt Club.
Correct. April 12th.
April 12th.
Yep, April 12th.
Okay. Well, Nick, tell me about this organization and why you guys started it. What's it all about?
Yeah, it did. There were 6 of us that got together, I think it was last summer, and we started talking, and we all have backgrounds in different conservation groups around the cities, and all of us kind of went different ways with some of those, and we were all talking, we wanted to do something again and get back working towards conservation and the outdoors. And the thing that everybody kind of jived with and we all had a common goal was with the youth. Everybody wants to support the youth. It's easy to get donated items from gun manufacturers and so on. So if youth was involved, so we really wanted to get kids exposed to outdoors that, number one, don't have the opportunity, teach kids new skills, get them off the computers and iPads and get them in the fresh air. So that's what kind of stemmed it, and it's just snowballed into what we're doing now. And so we just got off one of our first youth trips about 3 weeks ago out in Arizona, and we're already planning our second one here in May. So it's kind of starting to snowball, and it's going really well.
This deal in Arizona was a water hole project, the 2025 water hole project. What was that, and who put that on, and how'd you guys get involved?
Yeah, so one of our board members, Chris Bickman, she has been involved with Arizona Fish and Game and the Arizona Desert Bighorn Society for the last 15 years, doing youth projects every year, every other year. And so she's part of our board now, and she was a good person to get with that. She has all these connections, and so we partnered with Arizona Desert Bighorns and Arizona Fish and Game to just join one of their projects. And what this one happened to be is on Highway 60, leaving Mesa, going up through Apache Junction, right before you get to a town called Superior, there's a pass called Gonzales Pass. An Arizona Fish and Game recognized this spot as they're getting a lot of roadkill. A lot of elk are getting hit. A lot of sheep are getting killed there. So what they wanted to do is set up a water hole on the northwest side of the road to keep those animals inland and stop them from crossing back and forth for water. So what we did is we took 11 youth and 5 chaperones out there and camped and worked alongside the Arizona Desert Bighorn Society and Fish and Game. And we got these kids, boots on the ground, dirt experience. We built this thing from the ground up. It was just a great time. Then the kids learned a lot, and I've never seen kids work so hard. It was just a really good thing.
That's awesome. How did you choose the kids? Who got to go?
So what we do on all these projects, and our goal is to get them exposed to different things. We want different kids involved. We want fresh kids. So what we did is we did an essay contest, and so any youth between 14 and 18 that wanted to write an essay of why they should be selected and what conservation meant to them. We went through a little selection process, and those are the 11 that were chosen based on their essays and kind of what they said to us and how they felt about conservation and what they wanted to get out of it. So and we're trying to open our pool to more kids. So this is a great platform to get our name out there and get more kids in the hopper. So that's going to be the continual pattern. Is going to be, we're going to ask for essays and we're going to ask for some input for the kids on why they want to come participate in these events.
So how do you find the kids? Is it just anyone, any kid can just reach out to you guys and say, hey, I'd be interested in doing something like
Absolutely.
this? Go ahead, Lee.
I think we have a link for our essay, Nick. If you can share that on there as well. I don't know if that'd be.
I don't have that one on the site yet, but we're adding those as we build the site out more. But basically what we're doing is we're going around different FFA groups, different some high schools have some good farm programs. Even there's a really good school that's taking some kids that are a little less fortunate called the Hope School, and it teaches them farming and that kind of thing out in Wisconsin. So that just getting in front of everybody, different SCI groups we're sharing. We're going to be working with the Teddy Roosevelt SCI chapter up in North Dakota to get some exposure. So basically it's a slow spread of the word, kind of some organic growth for us, but we're going to keep getting our name out there and giving kids the opportunity.
So they don't have to be kids of members or anything like that. It could be anybody.
No. And we try to make sure all these, there's zero cost to these kids, and we paid for all the flights. We made sure all the food was taken care of. These kids just had to show up and participate.
Can I be a kid again? Sounds fun.
Right? No, it is. And it's a good trip because the kids really do learn a lot. Like in Arizona, for example, we had one of the game wardens come out and talked about her career of how she became a law enforcement officer with Inside of Conservation. We talked to the actual biologists who stopped by. We had the actual guys, the Arizona Fish and Game, the guys that were pouring the concrete and got to experience the helicopter and didn't get to fly in, unfortunately, but the kids got to work around it, which was really cool. So just trying to get them exposed to all different walks of life, parts of conservation, whether it be hunting, fishing, camping, that's what it doesn't have to be just shooting something or catching a fish, but we can be encompassing different parts of the whole system.
So did both of you guys go with on that trip?
I didn't go on this last one. The one in May, I'm planning on going on.
All right. Well, I want to ask you about the one in May, Lee, but before we get there, let's just go back to the one in Arizona, because I'm looking at the picture on the website, allianceforwildlifeconservation.org. Click on 2025 Waterhole Project, and I'm seeing what looks to be maybe some sort of rectangle hole in the ground with some sort of, I can't tell if that's concrete or if that's like steel or what kind of lining that is there. But then is that concrete and stone around it? Explain how that project, how did you guys make this water hole?
Yeah, so what happened was they basically needed to flatten out the spots. They just took a little mini excavator, they flew up there, and they actually leveled the ground. Once it was leveled, they flew in 4, I think they were 2,000 gallon water tanks. I might be off on the gallon size, but
those are tanks,
so they create the 4,
Gotcha.
they're big plastic tanks of some sort. They flew those up with a helicopter, and then what they do is they build an awning over that collects the rainwater. It flows down into those tanks, and then it'll leak out the side into a little guzzler platform where the animals can come in and get the water. And then what they also do is we had to dig holes and put a fence around the hole system, I guess, because they want to keep wild burros and cattle and all that wild horses out of there. So it's really meant for native wildlife. And so once they get it set up, that water drips in there, and then the animals can come in and get it as they need. It's pretty slick.
Something that those wild animals can jump over, then, I'd assume, or what?
Yes, and it's actually, they do the fence. They do it. It's actually just three bars, so they can crawl underneath it or go over the top. Absolutely. Yep.
Gotcha. So this stuff all got brought in by a helicopter?
Yep, lots of it. Yep, all the cement they flew up, all the water tanks, all the steel rebar, everything we needed. They even brought the water drop to fill up the water corral so we could have water and mix the concrete up there. It's amazing how many man hours and how much resource goes into one little project like that. It's pretty. I never realized it was that complex. It was really rewarding.
So what funded that project, and then? And then they were just like, hey, we're looking for kids to volunteer on this, and reached out to different organizations?
Yeah. Go ahead, Lee.
Well, as far as the funding part of it, we were kind of lucky. We had some of the other organizations we were with, we'd met people, and one of the members of a past organization had reached out to me with essentially his entire taxidermy collection he'd had collected over a lifetime, and said, I want to get rid of it. Do you have any ideas? And I said, well, I do have an idea. If you're interested, I said, it's a new project we're working on, and it essentially was our seed money. So we had an auction on onlinehuntingauction.com and sold. This guy gave us all of his mounts and some artifacts and different things, and that's what essentially funded this first project.
Wow, that's amazing. Okay, and then they were just was the original idea to have kids help out, or was that something that came along after the idea was born?
That was always the idea.
I think, the idea was always to get the kids involved. But the whole, with this Arizona project and the Arizona Desert Bighorn Society, over the last 15 years, they've typically gotten one volunteer youth group to come out. So we chose this first project based because they already had that infrastructure and the history of doing those projects with the youth. So when we got this opportunity, when all this taxidermy was donated to us by Brian Iverson, that's what got the money to get the kids and pay for the plane tickets and the food and the van rental and all that stuff. But the project itself was a multi-million-dollar project that was a partnership of Arizona Fish and Game, Arizona Bighorn Society, and then us bringing the kids there and supporting them in that way.
So were the only kids that were there? Were they from your organization then?
Absolutely. Yep.
Oh, really? Cool.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, and then Lee, there's something coming up in May, you said?
Yeah, it's actually another one with Arizona. They so they reached back out to Nick and Chris after the last one and wanted to do another one right away. So this one's kind of we're trying to get the word out as fast as possible, and that's, I guess, one of the benefits of us all being spread out a little bit. So Nick's in St. Michael, I'm down in Goodhue, Chris is over by Cannon Falls, Jason's in Lakeville area. Mike Schmillen, he's up, where's he at, Nick?
Chanhassen.
And then Scott's in up by Prior Lake. Yeah. So we go to the schools. I actually just missed a call here from the guy that runs the Goodhue Fishing School, the fishing program here at the Goodhue School. We're gonna talk this afternoon here about some kids filling out applications. He wants to know about that, and being that we're all from different areas, and I know, Brett, you've probably seen some of this too, is it seems like everybody I know hunts, but not everybody understands the conservation part of it. And these kids going back to school and talking about these projects, I feel like will have a lot more reach than myself telling my buddies about, hey, you should get involved with something. They just say, okay, whatever.
For sure. I'll tell you what, hang on one second there, Lee. For our radio listeners, go to the podcast now. We'll continue this conversation. Find us on YouTube or download the podcast on Spotify or wherever you get your favorite podcasts. I think what you're onto there is exactly right. When you can engage youth at an early age and teach them about the conservation side of the outdoors and of hunting, that's a pretty important part of it, and that's teaching these kids something that they'll take with them the rest of their lives.
That's right. Yeah, and there's a big void in, we were all involved with Wild Sheep Foundation Midwest, and I work with SCI. I'm at their banquet every year, just exhibiting. And one thing I see is the median age seems to get older, not younger. So if we can get kids involved now in any capacity, it's going to be a lot easier down the road to get people involved in conservation projects before, frankly, before some of these programs are just gone, because the people that are doing them have retired, or they're just not able to hike up into the mountains, or what have you.
So this next project, is it the same kind of deal, another water hole, or what's the next project involved?
Yeah, Nick, I think Nick probably knows a little more about it because he was involved.
Yeah, so it's very similar. It's up in northeast Arizona, and it's one that involves a little private land, public land, Arizona Fish and Game again, and basically what they're having to do is we're partnering with some local cattle ranchers who want to help support the wildlife, because usually the ranchers and the wildlife are butting heads, but these guys really like the sheep and they want to keep supporting them. So what we're doing is helping pull some. They need to run water lines off a pump that, for many hundreds of yards, and then we're gonna get four to six kids on this one, and we're gonna build that enclosure again. And there already is some there, so we're doing more maintenance on this one. But it's a similar function. We're getting water to where the animals need it, and the reason we're doing another water project is because this one was readily available and something we can impact now versus plan a year or two out. It's ready to go, and so we're going to do a similar thing there. Yeah, exactly. Get that water hole set up so those elk and those sheep in that area, and then the deer can get to that water.
What's the time frame on that? Like having to fly everything in there, and once everything's there, how long did it take to build that?
Yeah, so the time frame of this last one, it was when we left, it wasn't completely done, because typically what they'll do is they'll have the pad set and dug out, and so they just bring the stuff in, helo it in, and get it all set. But this one they had to spend a day and a half level in the ground on the one we just did. Now the one in May here, they already have a lot of the equipment there. The ranchers over the last couple of years have been dragging things in. Actually, they've been dragging pipe with horseback. It's been very, very rudimentary up there.
Sounds like Arizona.
The country. Exactly. So yeah, the cool part is every project varies a little bit. Like the last one we did 6 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago was really from the dirt up. Whereas sometimes you're just maintaining and retrofitting things that are there. Sometimes you're totally fresh building it. So each one varies, and each one is a little unique. And then the other thing we're working on, we don't want to get tied to Arizona specifically. It just happened to be opportunistic for these first two projects, but we're also looking to get some stuff going in the Midwest, North Dakota, all around us. And we're going to start reaching out to the DNRs more and the different groups and seeing what needs there are, because there's always needs. It's a matter of just kind of finding them. So, and that's going to be our job as our board, to search out those opportunities for these kids and get a good balance so everybody can find something they're interested in.
So you're looking for a couple of things then. You're looking for projects, you're looking for kids, and then I'd assume there's a membership people can buy for your organization?
Yes, absolutely. Yep. So like number one, let's find those kids and get them linked to projects. Two, the one thing we're going to be needing to is funding and support. So you can do that a couple different ways. Through our membership, we're actually having a kind of initial membership drive. We're calling it our founders membership. Typically a life membership will be $500. Right now they're $350, and you're going to get a fun cooler that we're giving away with each membership. So that's a special we're kind of running now up until our event. But the other way you can support is paying attention to our online auction. If you see a trip or a fishing trip or a hunting trip on there that you're like, go ahead and bid it. It'll be great. That would be helpful. And then just get involved. And if you want to come volunteer, or if you're interested in coming as a chaperone, we're going to need chaperones for these trips that are good in the woods and have time to do that. And get those kids too. So those are the kind of four things. We need the money, we need the volunteers, we need the kids and the projects. So that's what we're looking to expand on.
Well, we didn't even talk about the auction here. There's 3 pages of auctions with trips and prizes and gear and all kinds of stuff on your website here. Oh,
yeah. So what we're going to be doing?
You got Billy Moles coming.
Billy Moles.
Wow, that's awesome.
Billy's coming. Shane Klaus is coming from Montana. He's a recording artist, and he's in Eye for Eye movie on Prime, I think it is. So yeah, he'll come and do some singing and emceeing for us. It'll be a good event.
So there's a Alaska trip for caribou and moose. There's Iberian mouflon. I don't even know what that is.
One of those fun Spanish goats. What? Yeah. Or sheep. Yeah, exactly. No, so we got a little bit. We have fishing trips. We got we got black bear hunts for youth. We got some deer hunts. We got mountain goat hunt boat based up in Alaska. We're working on a desert bighorn hunt. We're trying to get on there now. So we're going to have something for everybody.
Snow goose hunt in South Dakota.
Minnesota youth bear hunt that's fully donated. There's a lot of stuff.
So we're shooting for about 40 live auction items, and then we also have a great raffle we're going to be doing. It's right now we got some tickets left, but it's we're doing a Gunworks Magnus muzzle loader. Selling 250 tickets at $100 a pop. They can just, if everybody's interested, just reach out to any one of us and we can get that squared away for you.
The Jurassic Classic on the famous Columbia River. Is that a sturgeon trip then, or what is that?
Yeah, that started years ago. That was with the Wild Sheep Society of British Columbia. They do a big, I think they get I want to say it's 30 boats, 30 teams, and they just go see who can get the biggest sturgeon that day, and then they measure them and then send them water, and then they have a big party that night. It's quite the event. It's something I wanted to go to for years and just never had the opportunity to get there. So that's going to be a good auction item.
That name's a little catchier. I need to turn my mic on, apparently. The name's a little catchier than the SJR 500.
Jurassic Classic.
Yeah, I like that.
Catch a big old dinosaur.
You need the Jurassic Park music too.
Copyright.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly.
Well, that's very cool. That's April 12th. Where is this banquet going to be held at, fellas?
Horse and Hunt Club down in Prior Lake.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
And Billy's great. I assume he's going to be speaking there then as well.
Correct.
Yeah, he's keynote speaking for us tonight, so we'll get a good story and some. Billy always has something good to say, and he's a great speaker and just a good man, good human. So great guy to listen to.
He's just a very good human and just a solid guy, and with a great message as well as some of those adventures that he's been on up in Alaska. Just crazy, like that one when they were. What was that one we watched and the plane crashed when they were coming to pick him up? The plane flipped over.
Oh, it flipped over on. Yeah, and like the grizzly charge. He's got a couple of good grizzly charge videos over the years, and he's got some wild stuff. But yeah, also a good message from him and on the Christian side too, if that's something you're into, and just a great solid guy with a great ability to tell some awesome stories.
For sure. Well, this is very cool. So April 12th, and then as far as that trip in May, then you're still looking for kids. How can they try to sign up for that?
Yes, there's a contact us on our website, and I'm going to have a pretty soon. I'm going to put the next site page this weekend, and I'll get the application on there so they can just click on the link, and then that'll come to us. So.
Very cool. Well, allianceforwildlifeconservation.org is the website. If you're watching this on YouTube, we'll probably put a link in the description. Maybe, Dan? What do you think?
Sure.
There. Look at that. Perfect. It's almost like we knew what we were going to do next.
I love it.
All right. Anything else you guys want to tell us about with your organization?
One thing is this is 6 months old and we've kind of hit the ground running. So we're going to, our website's going to improve. We're going to get more information on it. So just follow us on Facebook. We'll get updates as often as we can, and just things will keep evolving. And we're looking forward to working with everybody and getting these kids involved.
So Facebook, website, any other social media at all we should plug?
We're working towards adding Instagram, but it's a process. So it'll hopefully soon.
Yeah. Well, Facebook and the web presence is key, particularly at the beginning. So allianceforwildlifeconservation.org. Once again, Nick Negrini, Lee Ledford, appreciate the time and good luck with everything.
Thank you.
Appreciate you guys for having us on. Thanks very much.
Sporting Journal Radio is a division of Macaba LLC. If you've got a question, comment, or story idea for us, send us an email. Go to sportingjournalradio.com. While you're there, you can learn how to advertise on the show and visit our store for hats, hoodies, coffee mugs, and more. Go to sportingjournalradio.com.